Welcome to this video. Thanks for tuning in. Sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos, welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I just want to go into a little flow. I've done a couple videos with some energy updates. If you guys are interested in those, there is a lot to talk about energy wise. I shared some personal stories. There's a lot of really high electrical, magnetic things going on. And so it's fun to really hone in on our creativity and channeling that energy when we have these big bursts. And part of me says these big bursts are kind of ongoing, but we have a lot we're still in the energies of the full moon. We're still in the energies of a lot of planetary alignments. So it's fun to be able to capitalize on those and use them for our advantage. A lot of purging going on still, constant. So we're in it, you guys. It's almost feels like this all at once, flushing out all this old stuff and at the same time accepting all of the new at the same time. And that can be overwhelming for a lot of people because it's like everything shows up all at once. You know, it's like we have this opportunity, yet we don't know where we're going, yet we also are saying goodbye at the same time. And so it's really important to stay in the flow. And that's what my message is that I keep getting from my guides. Because it's easy for, especially when we're tapping into those multidimensional energies, it's difficult to stay grounded, to stay balanced if we are not in flow, right? If we're not just kind of allowing it to unfold. If we're forcing things, it becomes even more challenging. So I'm just gonna go from there. Speaking of flow, I'll probably have a mix of light language. I might do an energy share in the next couple of days. And as we allow ourselves to express from this greater unfoldment, we find all of the folds that were within, that were crumpled up, so to speak, that were placed off in a corner to be re-exposed as we clean up the mess that we have ignored, that we thought we had already taken care of, that we thought had already been in the past taken care of. Or we start to reach out to those that we wish to take care of and recognize that it is important to take care of ourselves. For we are all, each one and every one of us, connected in a multi-dimensional string theory type of way. So I'm being guided to show string theory is a really great way to just visualize how everything's connected. It doesn't mean that it's the only truth, but it's a fabulous tool to use to see the connectedness in all things, the fabric that we're all weaved into, if you will. For as we allow ourselves to communicate with our bodies, as we allow ourselves to communicate with the body of the fabric that we are weaved into, of the reality of the construct, we allow ourselves to deconstruct that which is no longer constructive in our reality. It allows us to recognize all of the folds, and within each of these folds holds a different plane, if you will. This is a play on words. So when I say folds, it's a different plane of existence. It's a different plane of a level. It's a different vehicle plane for flying. It's in plain sight. It's plain text. It's a type of communication. So when we recognize that we are tapping into this, it's a different playing field. And as we allow ourselves to equalize, if you will, and recalibrate, which is a constant job from one perspective. I'm being kind of guided to play with that word, but perhaps at a different time. We see ourselves lining up and seeing one another from different juxtapositions. We allow ourselves to reposition that which it is that we believe we just are. We believe that we are justified in some of our actions, yet now we perceive that there is no longer a need for justification. For when we look at any type of adjustments that are being made, when we recognize that these adjustments are affecting the whole, we begin to recalibrate and recognize that certain things that had a hold on us, that we were holding on to, are no longer relevant for our higher capacity, our higher holding capacity, our higher wealth, if you will, our higher holdings company, our higher holdings company, companionship, compass. For we recognize within us, by utilizing our internal compass, that which is no longer holding a directional pull over us, we then begin to pull away from that which was once pulling at our energy, our heartstrings, and our attention. We then begin to refocus our attention and move into a whole new world, a whole new vision, if you will, of derivatives, play on words. We begin to drive our own compass. We begin to derive. We begin to, so I'm being guided to play with this a little bit. We get our environment and we are able to see from our environment certain, oh my gosh, I could play with this in so many things, so many ways. Stay on course, Kiri. We allow ourselves to be the driving force behind our mechanics, if you will. We let go of the need for certain mechanisms to trigger us into what it was that we were being triggered into. Yet we then recognize these triggers as a tool to utilize to deepen our mechanisms. So when I say the word mechanisms, I see our body as a mechanism. I see it as a tool. I see it as a utilization of a tool, and I also see clocks, like gears on a clock that are mechanisms to make wheels turn. So I could go into many different versions of this. So we are being invited to let go of the need to hold on to certain things that once filled us to capacity. For many of us are feeling left empty in some ways and no longer are able to hold the space for others. Okay, that's a whole juxtaposition as well. We see ourselves in a different way. We see ourselves in a different form, for we are in a different format, and we are formatting our new reality to the new way and the new space that we have the ability to hold. So what the guides are saying is it's not just about us holding space for others. And we've been talking about this in the spiritual community a lot. You know, we're here, we're holding space. What does that mean? Because it doesn't mean, from one perspective, that we're offering someone else space to dump on us. And there's a common misnomer that if we're holding space for someone, we're holding onto their stuff for them. And what I'm being shown is we can hold space by holding our own space. It isn't just about holding space for somebody else. The version of that was this idea that we're allowing someone else to be who they need to be and who they are. That doesn't mean we have to share space with them if it's no longer relevant to our own expansion. And I'm saying that with love, because this isn't saying that it's time to just drop somebody or move on when they need us most, but we have to recognize are we capable in this moment of really holding the space that they need? They might need to be on their own. I don't know how much time I have left on here, but we'll go till it ends. We'll go till the wheels fall off. Hey, shake it till the wheels fall off. Hey. Okay. So essentially, there's a fine line. Are we holding space for ourselves, and are we holding on to that need to hold space for someone else? Because sometimes there's ego attachment to that. Sometimes there's this idea that if we're holding space for someone, it makes us feel more valuable. It makes us feel like then we are holding more value because that person needs us to hold space for them. So there's a lot of fine lines, and it's recognizing the differentiation, being able to differentiate between those particular lines and constructs, because that is a layer, but the other layer is just being present with ourselves. We then begin to recognize when it's no longer relevant for us to be within a holding pattern of holding space for those who are stuck in a holding pattern. We must all recognize that there comes a place and a time and a point in space that we must lock into in order not to get locked into a particular point in space. And I know that's a dichotomy, is that the right word? But what I'm seeing is we have a point and we lock onto it. And then we use that as our trajectory to move towards. But that space also can have a little wiggle room. And certain people are locked into, this is who I am, this is what I belong to, this, if without that, I'm not anything, or I'm not who I thought I was. And because they believe that they are correct, although from a broader perspective, obviously that isn't true, but to them, that's true. So there comes a point when we sometimes just have to let them follow their own course. And that may be difficult for some of us, especially if it's children. Obviously not young children that we're still taking under our wing and raising, but if it's an adult child, if you're a mother, perhaps it's a sibling, perhaps it's a friend. And it's right now the energies are so powerful that people are deconstructing. Their realities are deconstructing. And they have to find that fixed point where they can find their grounding. And it doesn't have to be us. That's not necessary. In some cases, it can be for a short period of time, but we cannot continue to extend this energy into that constantly in order to feed someone else's reality, in order to feed someone else's construction. When I say construction, I'm seeing it's a building, right? We're using pieces to construct and build our reality. So what people thought is falling apart, is deconstructing, so that it can be reconfigured, so that we can recognize and figure out, I'm hearing figure out the figure eight, the infinite. I'm seeing someone kind of blowing smoke rings and seeing this, who am I? From the caterpillar, right? From Alice in Wonderland. I'm also seeing these smoke rings being what someone is creating from their reality, like you would with words. And it's the toroidal spin. And I'm also seeing that in reference to, don't blow smoke, don't blow smoke at me. Let's be real. And if someone is continuously blowing smoke to create an illusion, we're starting to recognize we don't have to be part of that illusion. That's their illusion. Delusion. And so we are being invited to capitalize on these huge energies coming in. I'm being guided to kind of go into that flow. The more we can go within and the more we can find our own constructive, I'm hearing constructive criticism, and this is a play on words. I'm hearing all kinds of songs. All right. So there's constructive criticism that we can give ourselves, but that's a misnomer. We don't need to criticize. We can upsize or we can cut down to size. When we cut something down, we're being guided to trim off the fat, not cut something down to the size that we think it should be. We're invited to realize the true size and enormity of what it is that we're doing. I'm also seeing back to criticize. It's, so many plays on words here. Recognizing the grand scale and the grand scope of things. And so as we capitalize on these energies, I'm seeing capitalize as like big letters, right? Emphasize. I'm seeing bring into the value, gain something from it. It's being offered. We can also simultaneously release and realize what it is that no longer fits our shoe size. For many of us have outgrown these shoes, if you will, feeling as if we have big shoes to fill, yet we have already filled those shoes time and time again. And rather than feeling as if we have to fill someone else's shoes, recognizing that we do not need to, it's a shoe-in. I think I've used like this flow before. I'll have to go back and find it. It's like I'm having a recap here. And expanding with this and recognizing that the expansion comes from within. As we begin again and again to recognize our own virtue, our own virtuous signature, our own ability to be graceful in our frequency, we accept grace into a grace fully. So I'm seeing full. Again, this is all about space right now, the energies. How expansive can we be? Look at what's going on with Earth. She is creating space, expelling gas, expelling lava, fire, expanding. We are going through the same process as within, so without. What we're experiencing inside of us, Earth is experiencing, the planetary alignments are experiencing, everything is going through it in its own way, and yet everything is connected. So as we allow ourselves to be full of grace, full of this presence of the enormity, of the infinity, of the infinite beingness that we are, it allows us to feel and stabilize in this new architecture. So I'm being shown a blueprint that's been inlaid. We've already gone through this. Sometimes I speak in future tense, but there's a blueprint that's been overlaid over the current blueprint, and it's in that process of, we could call it cementing, but it's never permanent, meaning it's fluid. It's like a crystal liquid latticework matrix. And a matrix is not a bad thing, it's just a reality construct. It's a structure from one perspective that helps us to move through our reality and gives us a sense of substantiality that makes us feel that we can stabilize and move from one place to another in this particular system. And that's just one version of what it is, but I'm just in flow right now. So as we feel into this, we recognize that it's a living architecture that we are connecting with at all times, and we are mapping it. We are making it. We are mapping into it. We are creating a map and a signature that it communicates back with us. So the more we are able to just feel into this beautiful essence of who we really are, the more the matrix from this, and when I say that, it's a different matrix than what we think of with the movie. It's a different dimensional frequency. It's a different crystal latticework convergence. It holds a whole new vibrational sound. So when we tune into it, it tunes into us. I'm constantly being told by my guidance team, it's listening to you. It's a living, breathing, elemental frequency of picture ourselves being continuously embraced in the womb of a mother frequency crystalline network. We don't see it necessarily, but everything is within it. It's held within it. I like to picture like the roots on a tree system, and the crystal, if you look at a crystal and you look at it under a microscope, that's what it looks like to me. This matrix of living, breathing geometries. This is how we're able to create. It breathes it into existence. And when I say it, there's so many layers. Through source energy, through the light, through the sound, through the geometries. And we are part of that. Our body is a living, breathing, crystalline structure of frequencies, tones, and energies. And the more we start recognizing that, and I'm being guided to also recognize that this means it's not a hierarchy. We're not placing our hope, our dreams, and our energy into another human who is no better or no worse than us. And those aren't the right words. But we are all our own living lattice work. So where are we going to tune our forks to? We all have certain capabilities within us that are just waiting to be expressed, expelled. And it's time for us to tune into that, and we cannot tune into it unless we tune into ourselves. So I'm going to go back to what I was talking about, holding space. We're no longer in just a holding pattern. We were, and maybe when you're watching this, we will be in another holding pattern. But right now, in this moment on January 19th, I'm looking at 44 minutes afterwards. My clock is at 22:22. Minutes. We are in this fluctuation, right? My temperature miles 633, lots of double, triple numbers. Anyways, my point is we are in a creation mode right now. So we go through patterns where it's like hold, figure out where we are. Now it's all three of those. It's release, create, take action all at once. So it's almost that what some might refer to as instant manifestation, right? From one perspective, with a little bit of lag time. Thank goodness, sometimes, right? Because it's really being obvious. It's obvious, like I'm just not in this space right now where I can hold space for you. I'm happy to listen and hold space in that way. But right now, I just need to focus on myself. Let's connect tomorrow. Let's connect next week. Or maybe it's time to take a break and disconnect and allow that other person to find their own center. So it just depends on where we're all at. We're all going through this in our own ways and our own variation. And for some of us, it's the opposite. We're here, we've got so much room that we're like, yeah, I can hold space for you. However, I'm not going to allow you to dump on me, and I'm not going to allow you to feed into. Let me rephrase that. It's not that we're not allowing them to. They can do whatever they want. We're setting our sovereignty, and if it's not something that we can hold, it's okay. They can be them, we can be me, wherever we are at the moment. Come back to that at a later time. You guys, there's so much. This is just one little chunk. What I was just speaking about wasn't just holding space. There's a lot of layers. But I'm going to end on that note and just say, hang in there, you guys. It's big, and we're in it, and it's exciting, and it's scary, And again, I did a video on being human. It was a little raw of a video, but it's raw right now. We are in this raw, constantly exfoliating every day, resetting every day. I'm finding myself needing to sit and reset every night and continuously do the work that I really thought I'd already done, and be okay with that. And that's helping me stay centered and stay in flow. For some people, they're just already in that flow, and that's beautiful. Awesome. For others, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I can't find the flow. What is flow? I don't even know what that looks like. And that's where they're at. And I've been there, done that too. So for me, it's a constant daily practice. It's finding a rhythm. It's recognizing when I'm not in rhythm. It's creating, it's journaling, it's breathing, it's connecting with other soul family. It is holding space for some people on a daily basis, but then clearing that energy if I've taken on anything that I didn't need to, and recognizing, oh wow, I really was taking that on. That's not my responsibility to hold that for them. And I think Andrew Bartz says giving back their responsibility to hold for themselves sometimes in a kind and caring and graceful and compassionate way. Doing that with ourselves. Am I dumping on someone else? Ooh, maybe I was. I'm going to take back that energy that I dumped on them. I'm going to clear it. And when I say clear, it doesn't mean I ignore it. I integrate it, I digest it, I process it. And then sometimes, as I said in my last video, it's just about simplifying and saying, none of that matters. We're good. We good. Actually, I'm sorry I dumped. I clear that. I'm not going to do it again. Done. Easy peasy. We don't have to go into the shadow and dig it up and go, why did I do that? What caused that? Where did that come from? But sometimes we do. It just depends on where we're at. That's another habitual place that sometimes builds up stuff and creates less space because we're hanging on to, well, I've got more work to do and I've got to work the shadow. Doing work doesn't necessarily mean overcomplicating things. Sometimes it just means meditating. Sometimes it just means taking an Epsom salt bath. That is part of the work, but it doesn't have to be work. It can be simple. Keep it simple, starseeds, right? Okay. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. In love and light, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.